RHMax. Why is PulseChain delayed, and how can we further educate ourselves surrounding the programming script languages that I utilize when developing specifically PulseChain?
Yeah. From what I understand, there was a couple, or there was some amount of denial of service bugs that were found during audit or during security testing in PulseChain. And that apparently requires, so I don't know what language they're using before. I don't know if they're using Rust, which is a programming language, or they're using something else, but they needed to rewrite it in Golang. So I'm not sure if they're using Golang before and they need to rewrite the code, or they were using another programming language and they need to rewrite it in Golang. I don't know those details. But they needed to rewrite the code to make, to try to fix the bug, maybe design it a little differently. That part of how the nodes work to make it, to protect the nodes against these types of attacks. So that's one part of it. They needed to write some new code, maybe redesign things a little bit on that part, on the node part. So once they did that, so once you make these fixes, once you fix security related bugs or whatever it is, you need to go test them to make sure the fixes actually work. Because when you write new code and you say, okay, I have an idea how to fix it, you write the code, that doesn't mean it's fixed. That means your theory has come to life in code, and now you need to go test that theory. Does it actually work in the real life? And that seems to be what Richard's doing. The latest update before was he has a kind of red team, blue team type of thing where he has people doing security testing, and then you have another team who is just probably getting feedback. They're probably, okay, they're attacking the network. They wrote the tools that attack the network, and now they're looking to see, okay, can the attack succeed? So he's got people actually attacking the private, I guess the private test net they have internally with the bugs being fixed, or the supposed bug fixes, to make sure, okay, these bug fixes actually work or not. And if they don't work, then maybe they need to change the code. Maybe they need to, modify it a little differently to make sure that the fixes actually work. But that's what seems to be what they're doing now. So that's actually a good sign, because in big tech, for example, that's how, that's a very common thing to do. People report bugs, or internally we'll find some sort of, denial of service bugs or whatever. And, there'll be people be testing for it, and they'll say, okay, developers, here's how you fix it. Here's how you should fix it. Or developers, here's the problem. You all go figure out some solution for it, make the changes, and we'll test again. And when you test again, sometimes it's fixed and sometimes it isn't. So just the fact they're doing it shows like the professionalism and the ability to really care about the quality, because you don't just want to say in theory that the bugs are fixed. You want to make sure there's no one's going to be able to do this on launch. So that's very promising. That's shows definitely a level of diligence and professionalism on that side. So whatever the result of that is, whether they say, okay, good, nobody was able to perform the attacks anymore, we're good to go, and maybe launch can continue from there. Or maybe they say, oh, actually, you kind of fixed it, you didn't quite fix it. There's still this attack vector right here, but here's how we can fix it, and we can do some more testing. So those are the two paths forward. It sounds like for this particular the bug fixes that have came up.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the professionalism, and I'm glad you brought up the need to do these testing. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't know if you guys saw what happened with Cardano, with the Vasily hard fork update, or the whatever fork that was. And what happened is one of the devs came out and said it was a catastrophic failure. It was catastrophically broken when it released. Now, Cardano does not have the same controversy, does not have the same animosity and the disdain towards their community as Hex does and PulseChain. My point being, to make that connected, is that it's better to stay in testnet and not launch and be a catastrophic failure like what happened with Cardano, than launch and have all these bugs and have a subpar layer 1 that's competing with other layer 1s that are extremely efficient. And then, God forbid there's a bug, God forbid something happens, and then you have the entire cryptocurrency community raining down on the Hex and PulseChain community saying, I told you so. You guys sacrificed almost $2 billion for this project just for it to fail. Guys, this is why, it sucks. I get it. I don't like waiting. I don't think anyone
you described it. That's a competing motivations. It is the community who wants PulseChain to launch ASAP, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Richard saying, I'm not going to launch until it's ready. And if you dig deeper in that, okay, why isn't it ready? Because we designed it, there's a bunch of new code in the product, and we found these bugs and they need to be fixed. And we don't want to just say, oh, we think they're fixed. We want to say, we know they're fixed. So you have these competing motivations. You have people who wanted to launch, and you have people saying we want to launch right. And then of course, it's not like the whole thing is open source. We can see all the code coming through. It's not like we get these transparency updates every day from Richard. So we got to speculate a lot on this stuff too. But if that's what's actually going on, the bugs are just being fixed, then that's a good. I don't know why I understand the animosity of we want it to come out ASAP, but you got to just put that aside and say you don't want it to come out ASAP. You want it to come out right. And exactly. If it comes out right in September, that's cool. If it comes out right in January, that's cool. But if it comes out wrong at any time, that's not cool. You don't want that. Price go down. You want price go up or price go down? You want price go up. So trust in Richard Hart if you want price go up.
And I absolutely agree with you. And I want to use an example that many people will probably be well acquainted with in this stream, if you are gamers here. So and Fresh Taco, actually our next subject is going to be about Golang. So that exact question is going to be answered very soon.
There's a couple questions there, yeah.
So what I want to say is, let's look at this from a video game perspective. If you guys have heard of Cyberpunk 2077, one of the most hyped games up in the modern years of gaming.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves was involved in it, and it was so hyped up, and it launched, and it was a catastrophic disaster filled with bugs, filled with extremely subpar technical specifications because they rushed it. A lot of the games that came out, for example, during COVID are absolutely horrible. Their graphics are subpar. The stories are subpar. The gaming atmosphere is subpar. The UI is subpar. And I'll be honest with you, it's very, very telling that many of these projects never really recovered. Like Cyberpunk never recovered ever, even though the bugs are fixed right now. Now to connect it to PulseChain, if God forbid that happens to PulseChain, and PulseChain has that much anger and hatred towards it because of Hex and because of Richard Hart, what do you think people are going to do? Ask yourself that question. So I want to ask you this question.
Not even PulseChain. Think about all the community projects. There's
Exactly.
so many things relying on PulseChain
to
be great. Liquid loans. You have all these products that are like just deposit, Hedron, all these things, they're going to be copied on there too. Max is like all these projects are going to be relying on PulseChain, save gas fees to launch, 99% uptime. I don't think we get 100% uptime for a smart contract. You can do that. I'm not sure we're going to be claiming 100% uptime with everything else, but 99% is good enough. That's good enough for the world. So I think it's good enough for us too. But there's so much relying on PulseChain. It's not just PulseChain. It's PulseX. It's all the community projects. So we have to get this right. We have to.